let's do this. Hi, and welcome to Mrs. R's Science Lab, aka my house. Our concept today is going to be about geology. So if you don't already know, geology is the study of rocks and land. Specifically today, we are going to talk about the rock cycle. I did a video a few videos ago of plate tectonics. So I talked all about the Earth's layers and tectonic plates. Today, I'm going to talk about specifically the rocks that are underneath the Earth's top layer, which is the crust. Think about what you already know about the rock cycle. What is it you already know about how rocks are formed, maybe different types of rocks? What do you already know? All right, fun fact time. My first fun fact is underneath the layer of crust, the top layer of the Earth, then there's rock, and it shifts and it forms different shapes of rock. Fun fact number 2, when rock heats up, it's called lava. Now, some people get lava and magma confused. The difference is that magma is underground, it's underneath Earth's surface. Lava is what comes up and breaks the Earth's surface. So think of like a volcano. The magma is heating up inside, all that rock is heating up, and then lava is what comes out of the volcano. As lava cools down, it then forms a certain type of rock that we're going to talk about later. Fun fact number 3, rock can break down into smaller pieces of rock. Those are called sediments. Today, we are going to talk about the 3 different rock types. We are going to talk about sedimentary rock, we are going to talk about metamorphic rock, and we are going to talk about igneous rock. I'm going to go ahead and start our demonstration. You need very few materials for this lab, and lucky for you, it's another food lab. Yay! So for this lab today, you are going to need jelly beans. You are going to need a microwaveable plate. I've got my pretty little plate here. And I've got just a little piece of parchment paper. Today's demonstration is going to be all about how different rocks can form into different types of rocks. So with the 3 different types of rocks that I've got, they can actually all turn into each other through different processes. Now you are just going to take a handful of jelly beans. Ooh, I don't like those colors. So I've got a handful of jelly beans. Try not to eat the jelly beans till after the lab is over. Maybe 1. So these jelly beans I'm going to compare to different pebbles and rocks that I actually have with me. Similarly, rocks can come in different shapes, forms, colors, and so forth. They can be rough, they can be smooth, they can have different texture, they can have different things inside of them. They can be large like these rocks. They can be small like pebbles. I'm just using jelly beans because they look like different pieces of sediment. Remember, sediment is just broken down rock. Take these little pieces of sediment, which are tiny particles of rock, and I'm going to push them together as much as I can. Sedimentary rock you can obviously see the different pieces of rock inside of it. So actually it's pretty easy to pick apart what other pieces are inside of it. Some examples of this are sandstone, coal, limestone, and shale. Sedimentary is the most common type of rock at Earth's surface. When sediments turn into sedimentary rock, it's through compaction, which is pressure, and something called cementation. So with the jelly beans, the cement of the jelly beans is going to be that sugar that's inside of them. So when you start compacting, so putting pressure on those jelly beans, you'll notice that the sugar starts to get soft and ooze out a little bit, and that's going to start cementing it together. So through that pressure and through that cementation, it starts to form a sedimentary rock. So we've got that. The next type of rock that I want to talk about is a metamorphic rock. A metamorphic rock involves heat and pressure. Some rocks that are included in metamorphic rock are marble, granulite, and soapstone. I want you to think about the sedimentary rock. What would happen if this sedimentary rock started breaking down? Let's say a big rainstorm came, or after the rainstorm, it started falling down the hill and it started breaking down. There's actually a process called weathering. So weathering is the breaking down of rock. And then there's another process that you've probably heard of called erosion. Erosion is when water carries away the rock. So through weathering and erosion, it could break down and form sediments again. But now, instead of breaking down, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to add heat and pressure, and we're going to get them to form even further together. We are going to take it in our hands. Remember that our hands are warm. We want that heat. So with metamorphic rock, not only are we using the heat from our hands, we are now also going to take out our parchment paper, and we are going to take our sedimentary rock where we can see all the different pieces. I'm going to actually put it inside this parchment paper. And it's going to help me apply some pressure to it. Now, while I'm putting some pressure to it, where does the heat in our hands come from? What makes our hands warm? So what makes our hands warm is the blood that's pumping from our heart. Our heart is constantly pumping through our circulatory system and creating heat in the extremities of our body, like our feet and our hands. And so because our heart is pumping all of that warm blood, it's pumping to our hands, and I'm able to get that heat from my hand through conduction and transfer it to my jelly beans. Let's check it out. Ooh, what do you notice about my rock? What you should notice is that the pieces of sediment, or jelly beans, look like they're starting to mold together a lot more. With metamorphic rock, I like to think almost like the first process of melting. That heat and that pressure is forming them together to the point where they're no longer their own identity. They're forming something bigger. All right, last type of rock. The last type of rock that I want to tell you about is igneous rock. So you're going to take your little metamorphic rock. You are going to place it on your plate. Lovely. And I forgot that one of your materials needs to be a microwave as well. Or you could use a heat plate, which I've done before. But through melting, you are going to form an igneous rock. So like I said at the beginning, what is it called when that melted rock is inside underground, under the Earth's surface? That's called magma. Now, what's it called after it is released from the Earth's surface? It's broken through. Think of like a volcano. That's called lava. So we are now going to melt this. Safety warning. When we are doing this demonstration, you'll have to be careful because it will get really hot. Do not touch the rock. Do not touch the igneous rock until after it is cooled. So let me go ahead and put this in the microwave just for like 10 seconds, and I will be back to show you my magma. Be right back. I'm back. So, and I changed plates. What you should notice after you microwave this metamorphic rock, it was bubbling in the center, and when it was bubbling, it was really obviously hot, and you can feel the heat coming off of it. So that would be the magma. So that's the process in between the metamorphic and the igneous. It was melting. And now, very quickly, because of the sugar, it is cooling down and it's hardening. When it hardens, it's going to turn into igneous rock. So different types of igneous rock are basalt, pumice, granite, and obsidian. I've actually got a type of obsidian here. It's called snowflake obsidian. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's got little spots on it that they call the snowflakes. So snowflake obsidian. I got this little piece of obsidian from a National Geographic Rock, Mineral, and Fossil Activity Kit. So if you're really interested in rocks and minerals, then that would be a really cool kit to learn some more. It comes with this activity book. And so it says that snowflake obsidian is a regular type of obsidian, and it's a volcanic glass formed when certain types of lava cool so rapidly that crystals cannot form. When the lava cools more slowly, the crystals can form and give the rock a textured appearance. The crystals that speckle the surface, which are the snowflakes, are called spherulites, and they are formed from the mineral cristobalite, a type of quartz. Because it's volcanic glass, it's formed as an igneous rock. It's very smooth. I know that they probably polish this, but it's very smooth, much like our example here of an igneous rock. There are actually two types of igneous rock. There are intrusive igneous rocks that crystallize below Earth's surface, and the slow cooling there allows the large crystals to form. And then there's extrusive igneous rocks, and those erupt onto the surface and then they cool and they form smaller crystals. This one does have larger crystals, so I would say this is more like below the Earth's surface. The cool part about igneous rock is it starts to all form one kind of texture and color. So you'll notice in the middle of your igneous rock, it starts to all form, like this one's forming like an orangish pink color. So if I really fully melted it, it would become one identity. I'm going to go ahead and show you the rock cycle again. Reminder that with the rock cycle, these three types of rocks can turn into each other through breaking down, through melting, through pressure, through compaction, through cementation. There's all these different processes that can happen to form these different types of rocks. Let's do a review. Quiz time. So what are the three different types of rocks that you learned about? You learned about sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous. Question 2. How do you form a sedimentary rock? A sedimentary rock is formed by pushing sediments, which are broken down pieces of rock, together through compaction and cementation. Remember, cementation is a liquid that helps bind it together. Question 3. How do you form metamorphic rock? Metamorphic rock is formed through heat and pressure. In our example, we did it with the heat of our hands and we pushed down to demonstrate pressure. Step 4, how does an igneous rock form, and how did we demonstrate forming an igneous rock? So an igneous rock is formed through melting. So in our case, we melted at high temperature, and then through cooling. So we allowed it to just cool to room temp. And now that it's cool, you can hear how hard it is. Pretty cool. So today you learned about the rock cycle, and now that we're done, you have a whole rest of a bag of jelly beans to enjoy. So go try this at home. Teach somebody about the rock cycle. Tell them that the rock cycle is part of a study of science called geology, which is the study of rocks and land. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.